Good morning. It is just getting the middle of April here, and standing at the corner of my Back to Eden garden patch. This whole thing 2 years ago looked like this field here, and without any tilling or any kind of restructure, first thing I did before I learned about Back to Eden was put in a couple of swells out there, and I'll show you where those are in a minute. But what I wanted to point out was, I put the swells in to stop the flow of water coming from the high side across the property down to the low side. And they did a good job. And I could tell a difference on the amount of water running across here. But then I went back and I just filled all this in with chips, and it still does a good job. So, what I'm seeing is the chips do a pretty fine job all by themselves. One of the swells was here, there's potatoes under that peach tree there growing around the bottom, and right behind those potatoes there's a swell that runs out towards the barn there, and then there's another one running from those irises behind that peach tree there and runs out towards that barrel. And of course in between, all this area is everything's just been filled in with chips. And then of course started planting this out. But we've got additional swells. There's another swell up there close to the barn, catching water out that way. We'll walk kind of out that way while I'm talking. And I've got chips over it, and I've actually started planting potatoes in the low section to try to give them water, because I've heard they like a lot of water. And so I've got just a little chip hill across here to keep things that make it through the middle from coming down and heading across to my neighbor's house. But this catches water, and you can see that was I've got another video that shows these swells exactly when they were just bare. There's potatoes. And the top of this one is a pear tree. A little bit of mint growing on top of there. Yeah, it's going to take over, but I like it, so it doesn't matter. Couple figs, couple Swiss chard. Just nothing much. I've been propagating some of my fig trees. I've got little sticks all over the place that I dug up and been transplanting around. Anyways, made a rectangle out of it, and a lot of these chips I was paying for, and then at the same time praying about some chips, and then all of a sudden the floodgates opened, and truck after truck after truck of chips dropped off here for free. And there's some onions and some garlic from I planted in the fall. Some apple trees there by that. There's one rooster in that little chicken tractor there. That's the Texas Prepper Back to Eden, or I guess Texas Prepper greenhouse plans. I've got me some lawnmower tires on there. I can lower and move this thing around, but I've moved him into kind of a permanent spot there. Got to redo the tarp and working on that. That was one of those, I forget what you called them. It was my wood pile, and it's a German style of wood stacking that draws moisture and draws air in and dries it out quick. I've started planting tomatoes down in here, basically digging down into the dirt and planting them, and planted a couple back that way. I'm just kind of still working on this. This is the first spring. There's my burn pit. It's a cone-shaped inverted cone, so down at the bottom is where the charcoal, it makes charcoal pretty well, and that goes into the chickens. And then of course there's the leftover. This is a road basically that I built for those wood chip trucks to get through here, and they were taking chips back to this pile here, and then on back through the next gate, loads and loads of chips back there in the back. I've made me a place I can go turn my camper around and drive around on that back there. And there's of course a lot more chips spread back that way. This was another swell. This is the upslope side, and There's potatoes planted in it that are just now starting to come up. Down through here, on the top up there, that's of course a plum tree. Sorry for the panning. I'm not really good at this video and with the iPhone here. That's another pear tree, another plum tree, and they're hopefully getting, there's more potatoes. Hopefully gonna, absorb some of this water as it comes down through here. My favorite section of the garden, we've got the elephant garlics here, and this is all screened chicken compost, yard wastes. This is where it's at. I mean, this is, I need to throw some chips on top, but this is, this was straight out of the chicken pen, and I guess the fall, and, right here where the swell used to be, the bottom of the swell, just started bringing it from the chicken pen over there, screening it and bringing it over here. This grows like sick, grows like crazy. I mean, thousands and thousands of weeds came up first, just because you just can't help but growing stuff in this. I mean, it just grows. It's got everything it needs. And I mean, once those weed seeds sprouted and I pulled them out of there, they're not coming up near as that readily. But the seeds that I plant, they just grow. This whole row of spinach, literally, it's just like what you see watching the Back to Eden videos. You take your rake it down through there, drop your seeds, cover it up, and that came up. Carrots, I've never grown carrots here. They just weren't coming up. And the way I was doing it before with the tiller and soil, the ground would crust over and they just couldn't get through it. It's heavy clay soil. Some onions here. I've got some onions in the other section, and I was trying to debate that if these were not taller here in the chicken than they were over there in the straight chips, and I think they are taller here, but they're comparable. That over there in that section where there's some more onions, they're coming up pretty well. I've already gone through some lettuce, so that's what these little holes are here, where I've pulled up and fed that to the chickens. And then you can see more chips through the gate here. Sorry about the bouncing. All the way out and around, there's a round pen, comes out around this way. This was a swell upslope of the chickens, where I usually keep my stock tank for the horses, where when I dump it, it doesn't just run away, it kind of collects it. But it's filled in with chips. Chicken house, chicken pen. I have 7 hens and 2 roosters in there right now. We've got an incubator hatched out that got, I think, 18 chicks that are straight run. Another incubator. I'm trying to get, I'd like to have about 30 hens, because I like to give eggs away, and they're just not, I would get like 4 or 5 eggs a day. It's not really enough to, give away and use and everything like I want. But this is all grass clippings I've been putting in there. Ashes, there's some spent, broccoli and cauliflower and kale, not kale, none of the kale. Kale was going to seed. I want to save that seed before I let the chickens have any. But tastes great. They're doing their thing. I do give them a little bit of my horse feed, basically, because it's cheap, and I throw it around the edges and on top of all the grass clippings that I throw in there, because I mean, believe it or not, this was fresh grass clippings yesterday. They've already integrated most of it. They scratch it, bury it, and you don't end up with a pile. I mean, I think they take care of it on their own, but I give them something to scratch for and go for, and they've got nest boxes and stuff in there. Half of my horse pens have got chips in them. Was nice because instead of going to wear muck boots and going in there and dealing with them, I could walk in there and not sink into the slop. Horses are doing fine. The farrier said their feet and everything, the frogs and everything look good. So there's another swell behind that little shed catching the runoff from the roof, and a larger swell along there. Not going to keep showing you. That's long enough for this video. I just wanted to show But yeah, you can do swells, but yeah, you can also do chips. Those chips are doing just as well by themselves. I mean, the swells are still under there, but I mean, it's never getting to the swells. It just sucks right into those chips like a sponge, it seems like, and stays there. Anyway, have a good day.